Hey guys, welcome to JasonWhiskyWise with myself, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 33, where we're going to review the Kavalan Concertmaster. Now, if you haven't heard about it, it's a whiskey from all the way from Taiwan, from Yilan County, which I'll get to in just a second. So I poured myself a dram, and I'm going to explain to you a little bit about the name Concertmaster, because you must be wondering, out of all the names, why Concertmaster? So it originates from the founder of Kavalan, Mr. Lee, and he's got a big passion for classic music. Now, he loves to go visit the orchestra, and one of the main roles in the orchestra is the concertmaster, who has to take control and has the main role in the orchestra. So in the same way, this was the whiskey, which is the first whiskey from the Kavalan distillery, which is created using finishing. So the same way he wanted to convey that into his whiskies, and so it's a main role being the port casks, and that's how he got the name Concertmaster. Now, if you have missed my other video on the Kavalan Classic, I'll leave it over here towards the end of the video, so you can also check that video out, and I'll leave a playlist as well with all of the Kavalan whiskies I have reviewed. So to begin our whiskey review, we will do with my assessment style technique. I poured myself a dram just a little bit ago, and we're ready to go. So to start off with the age statement, this whiskey is a non-age stated whiskey, as Kavalan don't put any age statements on all the whiskies, pretty much because in Taiwan there's a lot of heat and humidity, and that speeds up the maturation process. So you're looking at something that's happening 2 to 5 times faster than in Scotland. So the whiskies over there, if you pretty much mature a whiskey for 4 years, you're maybe getting a product that's 8 years or up to 20 years. So you're getting a lot more faster maturation than in Scotland. And also the angel share is also much more, I think it's between 10 to 12%, whereas in Scotland it's around about 2 to 3%. So you can see the massive difference in angel share as well. So anyway, we'll get started with my whiskey style review. It is a non-age dated whiskey. It's bottled at 40% ABV, and the reason behind that is because part of the entry level from Kavalan, they wanted to make it a bit more palatable and something easier drinking. And one thing that the master distiller Ian Chang says, he goes, it's such an easy drinking whiskey, we call it an every minute drinking whiskey. So not an everyday whiskey, an every minute drinking whiskey. And he said, if you want, drink as much of it as you can, because they do produce it at the Kavalan distillery 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days in a year. So lots of whiskey is being produced, and they've got an unlimited supply of water. So another thing to next is also the cask selection they use in this whiskey. And the cask selection they do use is American oak casks, which they do, I think, mature it for 3 years, and then it's finished off in port barricks for 1 year. So around about a 4-year maturation. But they do say it's a non-age stated whiskey. And at Kavalan, they like to say it's more about appreciating the flavors than looking at a number on the bottle, which I can totally agree with, because everyone nowadays just looks at numbers and doesn't really appreciate the quality behind the whiskey being produced. So next up, you've got to wonder where the distillery is. Now, the distillery is from the Kavalan distillery, which I think I'll put over here. And the Kavalan distillery looks very beautiful. If you get a chance to go to Taiwan, be sure to check it out. It's owned by the King Car Group, and it's based in Yilan County, Taiwan, which is over there in the northern parts of Taiwan. So if you do get a chance, go check it out. If you're going sort of towards Hong Kong side, I think it's only an hour flight. I will actually be visiting later this year, and I'll take you all with me on my journey. And I think in a week's time, I'll also be going out to Edinburgh, so I'll take you guys on that journey as well. So next up is the price range, and the price does start from around about £55 going up to £65. I paid £58 for this bottle, and a little bit, it's not a bad price actually, because you're getting quite a nice decent sized bottle, and it's all whiskies nowadays are currently priced at around about the £50 marker. Now, in terms of exclusivity, this is not exclusive. As I said before, they're producing this one part of the core range, so you'll see this everywhere, and it's being produced in mass quantities, but the quality in the whiskey is superb, and you can probably see I'm working my way through quite a bit of it. Next up is the colouring aspect. Do they use caramel colouring? The answer to that is no. In all of the Kavalan products, and I want to correct also my previous video, Kavalan used no colouring in all of their whiskies because it's all natural, and because of the speed of the maturation, they don't need it because it extracts all the great colour and the qualities from the casks, so you don't need to add caramel colouring. So next up, we're going to move into the assessment of the whiskey, my favourite bit, as we get to taste it and look into the colour of this whiskey. So this whiskey does have a very, very nice rich colour. For something that's only 4 years old, you've got what I'd say is more towards like a sunburst gold or a sunburst goldeny hue. Very nice, beautiful golden color. So next up, let's move into the nose. First impressions off the nose, I'm picking out a very nice creamy texture to it. I'm getting also tropical fruits, a little sweeter hints. And to expand a little further on those tropical fruits, I'm picking out sweet pineapples, guava, dried mangoes, ever so slightly dry, so you still got the juicy character and sweetness behind them. And then right behind that, I'm getting honeydew melon. Yeah, like a freshly cut honeydew melon, which is just bursting with the sweeter flavors. And then behind that is just a little layer of vanilla. And there's a faint spice over there, but more of these tropical fruits and a little bit of vanilla sort of dominates the nose of this whiskey. Really, really good stuff in the whiskey. And there is a slightly candied, sort of sweet citrus behind that. So I'm going to say a candied citrus right on the back of that vanilla. So great on the nose, so inviting. So anyway, let's next up move into the palate for this whiskey. My initial thoughts on the palate is that this whiskey is quite light on entry, almost like water, but then it develops, you get that little bit of spice. As I said before, that mango-y sort of sweet, it's like a dried candied mango, giving it that little dry effect just through the middle of the palate, but then those tropical fruits are back, and a little burst of spice all over the place, like a bit of cinnamon or grated nutmeg. And that pineapple, guava, all coming back, and that honeydew melon. It's like almost having a fruit salad, a tropical fruit salad, and you're just tucking into different pieces and getting those different textures along with the bursts of spice. It's just so refreshing. So next up, we're going to move into the finish of this whiskey. I'm really enjoying this one. So into the finish next. So into the finish of this whiskey. Very mouth-watering. Those tropical fruits really just playing all over the palate. It's like literally all the parts of the tongue are picking up on something. As you leave it for a bit longer, the finish of this whiskey is sort of towards, I'd say, a medium to long finish with that little bits of what reminds me of dried fruits. And these dried fruits are like red currants and red berries. So raspberries, cranberries, dried cranberries. As I said, red berries. Quite a very nice creamy texture that plays itself off the back of that. And then I'm finding a sort of like a creamier texture that just on the end, which reminds me of having Greek yogurt, but with a massive dollop of honey in there, and just mixing the two, how it's infused very well, and such a creamy sweetness that it leaves you with. And a very nice long, sort of medium long finish. So really enjoyable overall from nose, palate and finish. Next up, I have to give you my rating, and I've already decided this one. This was one of these whiskies because I have a love for port casks. And I've assessed a lot of port cask finishes, and I'm gonna jump it. I'm gonna give it a little bit more because it's just so easy drinking this whiskey. As Ian Chang said, the master distiller, it is such an easy drinking whiskey. Believe you me, you need to try this whiskey. So in terms of my overall comments, 94 out of 100 for the Kavalan Concertmaster. Reason behind that, you've got great complexity and depth in the fruity character, not an overlot of spice. Just so enjoyable with the little sweeter notes that do play themselves there. Something I really enjoyed as well was I've still got the sort of the textures still playing themselves on the palate, which I found really enjoyable. But value for money, as you're looking at around about 50 to 60 pounds for a bottle, and at that price range, getting something all the way from Taiwan that's just had such good care and quality in the casks used. I think it's a fantastic whiskey, and I've tried a couple different variations of bottles of the Concertmaster, and they've all been very, very consistent. So you've got quality, you've got value for money. Personally, I would not recommend adding any water to your whiskey because it just takes away that depth and flavor. Will probably reduce spice, but I just like those fruitier notes playing themselves on the palate. So on that note, I'm going to leave that here. Actually, I'd go so far to saying that if I was on a desert island, that would be the dram that I would take with me because it's just so enjoyable. And sort of you can just get those sort of tropical fruity notes there as you're sitting on a desert island. So you just enjoy it a lot. But anyway, let me know if you've tried the Concertmaster. And if you are looking to buy a bottle, you can also buy, I think, drams online. So some websites do offer that. But anyway, this has been Jason from WhiskyWise. If you have enjoyed the video, by all means, drop it a like. Be sure to subscribe over here. And check out my other videos, which will be on the Kavalan videos coming up very soon. But as always, this has been Jason from WhiskyWise. And I'll catch you all for the next video.